saw a flying saucer.
Saucer? You mean the kind from up there?
Yeah, its counterpart. It was shaped like a huge cigar. Dan and Edith saw it, too. And when it passed over, the whole compartment lighted up with a blinding glare.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryan from ClosePlaytation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host, Mark.
How's it going?
Well, we're getting into some difficult times. I'll say that. It's May, or will be May, after we've done recording this. And in May, we generally tackle what we like to call difficult films. And difficult films in the past has meant tough films to stomach, right? The films that people have, throughout cinematic history noted as either disgusting or outrageous or,
taboo.
Yep, taboo or we haven't done taboo yet, but we'll have to at some point. That's a difficult film. But
Isn't there like 12 films we'll have to
there's
do?
there's many. Many of them. But the difficult films in the past and we've done this twice now, I think, right? There's two seasons of it. It's meant most of the time difficult, like tough films to watch for whatever reason, like subject matter or things like drug abuse. We did funny games, which is kind of like just all around, an awkward movie on purpose. Stuff like that. We did a Serbian film. So we've done some pretty difficult, what people consider really difficult films. And generally those films, when we cover them, we kind of task ourselves with saying, okay, well, now that we've seen this movie, do you really consider it a difficult film? Or because that can be subjective. So we're not always saying we find them difficult films, but throughout history, people have labeled them as such. Do something a little bit different this time. You've probably seen the title of this episode already, and you're probably thinking, what is that? I don't understand why this movie would be labeled a difficult film. We're doing a little change up on the verbiage of difficult. We're changing the definition this time. Instead of difficult meaning tough to stomach or tough to watch, these are difficult because they are hard to watch because they're bad. They're bad movies. They've been considered the worst of the worst. Ones that people have just panned for throughout cinematic history. And so for a variety of reasons, doesn't always, it's not going to be the same type of bad movie. But we kind of want to do something a little bit different this time and change it up. We like to be spontaneous and erratic around here. So, and I know,
that's what actually is our tagline for the podcast.
Spontaneous and erratic. That's right.
Yeah.
I know we had toyed with, doing some actual difficult, like tough to watch films. But I think this is going to be a fun one. It's not going to be, I should say, it'll be fun to listen to. It's not going to be fun for us. We're not going to have a lot of fun watching these movies. I can assure you. And we're already in for a treat with this first one, which was, I will say, difficult to watch. It was definitely a chore. We can call them chores, I guess. That's the other
films as chores.
Yeah, the synonym for difficult here.
You like to think of them as a hobby, something that you enjoy. No, these are your choring films.
I would agree. This is that's exactly how I feel just thinking about the movies that we've talked about for the future and just thinking about having to sit down and actually watch them. It definitely feels more like a chore. It reminds me of like that one podcast that would only watch that one Adam Sandler movie like literally every week, and they would watch it
like Jack and Jill.
Yeah, something like maybe it was Jack and Jill. They would only watch that movie. That like literally every time they'd watch that movie, and then have to do another episode about it.
We could literally do difficult films a month next time, but it's just the back catalog of Adam Sandler films.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think like again, these ones are really chores. And to start off, we wanted to we picked one. I think that is one of the movies that people really think of when they think of an actual bad movie historically. And we've already done a couple of movies that people consider bad movies, but they're actually good, like Troll 2. We did that one in the past. But that's a little bit different because that movie people recognize that it's not a good movie, but it is fun to watch because it's so over the top and ridiculous. I would argue that these movies that we're going to be covering for difficult films this time are not even like good films in the sense that they're fun to watch. They're neither fun nor good. They're just overall bad. And I think the one that we've picked for the first episode is really historically one that's been considered one of the worst films made. And I don't know if I agree with that or not, but maybe we'll talk about that as we get into it. But we're talking about Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space. Now, Ed Wood has had a lot of bad movies. There was a lot to choose from in his filmography. But have you ever seen Plan 9 from Outer Space, or you've known about it? I assume.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it. I've never seen an Ed Wood film. I just I know about the film because back in as I was telling you when you suggested it, it was like a film that was pretty big on the early YouTube. That guy with the glasses, angry video game nerd, angry nostalgia people, bitching and moaning, but having fun with it. So a lot of the film I had practically already seen, just by the amount of reviews that were back out in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's and again, I know it's a film that's revered for being awful. I know the same thing about Ed Wood's work. And never seen it because I'm not a big Tim Burton fan, but the Tim Burton Ed Wood film, I haven't seen that, but I heard that's pretty good. It's just something that's just been blind spot in my filmography because I don't, as we talked about when we did Troll 2 years and years ago, I don't try to go out of my way to watch a film that's bad for the sake of bad on my own.
Sure.
If I have somebody that you're sitting down and you watch and can enjoy it, and it ends up being bad and you enjoy it and it's badness as an experience, and sure, but on my own do it. No, I got other
things that you'd rather do.
Yeah, so
some people do this. I mean, they do sit down by themselves and just I think I'm going to check out this, really bad movie.
No, I know. And that good, that's a hobby. I can appreciate it, but for me, it just comes if I were to sit and watch this film by myself without having to do it for the show today, I would probably be laughing less because I would be just this is on my own time. And,
I mean, you're not getting paid for it regardless. So
it's what do you mean I'm not getting paid?
Yeah, sorry to tell you, salary's been cut. There's no payment this time. You got paid in beer, I guess. So this time,
compliments. But yeah, I'm glad to kind of pop the cherry though on this to finally get to experience.
Yeah,
it
you can say you've seen it now.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Plan 9 from Outer Space. I originally thought I had, and then once I got into it, I was like, no, I have not seen this one. And
I think I saw The Day the Earth Stood Still.
No, actually, what I was confused about was Tor Johnson's character. Tor Johnson is the inspector in this movie, the big guy, the giant guy. And I've seen him in another movie. It was not an Ed Wood movie, but it was The Beast of Yucca Flats, which is also a phenomenally bad movie. I don't know, maybe worse than this one that I remember. That one's only like less than an hour, but it left an indelible impression on me that it was very bad. And so I do remember watching that one, and I think I thought that originally was Plan 9 from Outer Space at one point, but it was not. I was getting them confused. So I've never seen this one, and I don't think I've ever seen an actual Ed Wood movie at all, because The Beast of Yucca Flats was directed by a different bad director, one not as well known as Ed Wood. So I will also say that there's been a lot of, film commentary and historical writing on Ed Wood. And in true Blood and Black Rum podcast fashion, and in sticking with the idea of difficult films, we didn't do any research on it. Like, I have no background into Ed Wood whatsoever. I don't really, I didn't look anything up about him as a director or anything else. So we're going into this without like having done research on that. So just keep that in mind if there's something that we bring up and it's, well known in Ed Woodosphere, because there are people that really do follow Ed Wood's movies, maybe ironically, but we haven't done any research into Ed Wood specifically. So, and like Martin said, I haven't seen the Tim Burton movie. I don't have any real background on the man himself. So
I just know whoever plays, I'm drawing a blank, I'm gonna have to look it up. I just know whoever plays Bela Lugosi, I'm looking it up now from watching clips. Martin Landau is just like yelling like motherfucker like the entire time with a wonderful put on like Hungarian accent.
Yeah. Martin Landau is Bela. I can see that. I can see that for sure. That's pretty funny actually. So, all right. Anything else you wanted to add in the intro before we get to the beer talk?
No.
All right. Let's move on. All right. So. On the show today, I tried to tie in a little bit to the subject matter, Plan 9 from Outer Space. We've got aliens. So I grabbed a beer that was called Risotto Moon Rover. And I do just want to point out real quick that when people make like videos online and they're joking about the like IPA drinkers, this type of beer name is exactly what they're talking about. When, they make fun of all the ridiculous beer names, and specifically other half brewing companies' beer names, because they're all just absolutely ridiculous and stuff like this, or like, Spaghetti Factory and, stuff like that is just over the top ridiculous. And they're, Risotto Moon Rover is exactly that type of beer name that they're parodying. But this one is a collaboration between Thin Man Brewing, which we've had on the show before, and Other Half Brewing, which we've also had on the show before. And both of those brewers are fairly close to us, not like super close, but they're, within a reasonable distance away in New York State. And generally
I can't believe you're saying that Thin Man is in reasonable distance to 4-hour drive to Buffalo.
True. It's within range, I guess.
I don't know. It sounds like you haven't taken a family vacation out that way in a long time. If you're sitting here saying it's reasonable.
Well, remember, I drove by it. That one time when we were going to Indiana, but I didn't actually get to stop there. So I was like, this is probably going to be my only time I'm probably down here. But unfortunately, it was not even close, really, in the scheme of things.
You're not going to the new stadium?
I don't have the kind of money. We don't make that kind of money on the podcast.
We should see if we can get sponsored.
Sponsorship from Blood and Black Rum Podcast has made a lot of fun about this new stadium. We'll invite them over.
Man, all of a sudden, I really like Highmark Insurance, guys.
Have you guys tried Highmark Insurance? New sponsors. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But Thin Man Brewing and Other Half, we've had them both on. Really fun brewers. And this time they've collabed for this hazy pale ale. So I'll let you go first. What do you think about the Risotto Moon Rover?
One, I'll give them credit for not doing a NIPA, a pale ale. it's a lot. It's like a forgotten art, and anytime we like the one time every 2 years we have a pale ale on the show, it's like, oh, that's out in the wild, beautiful. It's not bad. I'm not personally a big Thin Man fan. I kind of find their beers to be just okay. We've had like the Pils Mafia and the Minky Boodle on, so for me, it's just kind of when you drink it, it's not like super like hazy. You don't get like a lot of, juicy notes to it. It's very mild. Pale ale aspect, you get like the breadiness of the malt, but nothing like big. It's got a nice finish and all, but it's got like a little tinny taste to it. It's not bad. I just it's 4.5% hazy pale ale. I just kind of think, for who and for what, I feel like they're trying to make a slight session of it, but if you're gonna do that, just do that instead of compromising on the pale ale itself. So
yeah,
I'm disappointed. It's not bad, but I mean, like, this was a 4-pack of 16 ouncer, so that was like $16. So and especially in this economy, you got a real hard time justifying that. So
that was my exact words when I saw the price tag on it. In this economy, are you kidding me? That's right. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like it's it's pretty bog standard of like a slightly more yeasty and maybe a little bit more hoppy pale ale style. I think it's good. It's on the lighter side for alcohol content. It's like 4.5%. I think that for the most part, that, like Martin said, this is a beer that's kind of it doesn't have a huge population of people that would be like really excited about it. Most of the people drinking these types of beers are going to look at the 4.5% and be like, that seems like a little low for what I'm looking for. And then at the same time with the hazy pale ale style, there's inevitably going to be people who are like, nah, this tastes a little bit light on flavor, right? Because it kind of is reminiscent of what you would get from a hazy IPA, but at the same time, obviously it has a lot of that toned down a bit. So I think it's pretty good. It's very drinkable. I think it's very sessionable though. Like you can drink a couple of these and it's not going to bother you. It's light enough that it's very easy to drink. So I think that it kind of serves that purpose. It's not like something that I would be strongly recommending, but I think it's a pretty good style for them. They've done a fairly good job with it, so I like it. But again, like I said, I wouldn't tell anybody to go out of their way and grab it. Just finish that up there. All right. All right, so let's get into Plan 9 from Outer Space, or as you like to refer to it, instead of Plan 9. What was your plan for it?
Oh, Plan B.
Yeah, Plan B.
should have been Borden.
It's true. So this movie is a really interesting movie to like just sit down and look at, because
the original name for this, Grave Robbers from Outer Space, not as catchy, but I mean it makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, so Grave Robbers from Outer Space, I don't know if it's not that catchy either, because it definitely has like sort of a ring to it where you're like, oh, that sounds cool, right? Like Plan 9 from Outer Space sounds very, especially for 1956, sounds very, very generically sci-fi. And maybe that's what they were going for, right? They wanted this very generic sounding science fiction title to maybe get some more people who would be interested in that type of thing to see it. But at the same time, it's very bland. The Plan 9 element to it is really not even expounded upon much in the movie, so it's sort of like a waste, because I think they only mention it like one time, right? Like it's explicitly saying, what are you doing? You're doing Plan 9.
It's a throwaway.
Yeah, it's like, and at that time, like the audience is like, Okay. Whatever. But this movie is an interesting movie because it is sort of like what you think of now as like a classic Hollywood type movie. Like when you see the sets and you see, well, or the lack thereof, I should say.
I was gonna say you didn't say that right.
Yeah,
we're talking about
you see the soundstage
clearly when you see the set, not when you see the sets, you know.
Yeah, you see the soundstage and you see the exterior shots of Hollywood. You can very much tell that this is just a Hollywood shot movie, and they shot it on like one soundstage, and it's hilarious because a lot of the footage it's clear like was all shot at once. So there's a lot of scenes of like them being outside at a graveyard that are dispersed throughout the movie. But when you watch it, they're all the exact same shots. And it's like they just took this one time they were shooting in this area, this set, and they just chopped it up and then edited it together later on. And
I was gonna say the Bela Lugosi shots are like from like a year or two old. Like he was already dead when this film came out. So
yeah, and he probably died because of this movie. Because unfortunately, he probably died of embarrassment. Because everybody knows that Bela Lugosi, towards the end of his life, he was very he was upset with the arc of his career. You know, he was kind of became more of a joke at that point. You know, and so to have this be one of his final movies where he is kind of the butt of the joke, where they're basically, you know, Ed Wood is basically saying, "Hey, Bela, just pretend you're Dracula again," you know, because that's what he does. He wears a fucking black cape. He basically looks like Dracula, and his wife is Vampira. He couldn't be any more on the nose if they tried. Like, I mean, I'm sure they tried, but it's really a dumb idea because it is almost a mockery at this point of like Bela Lugosi. It feels bad. It feels like, you know, you feel bad for him. You feel embarrassed for him because it just is. He's an old man in this movie. He like almost looks like he really doesn't know what he's even doing here.
Just imagine that like you're 60 years old and like all they want you to do is just like walk around with the cape and go and like hold your arm up, like, you know,
exactly.
You know, I could see how that wouldn't be fun. You know,
I just
like imagine like if like with Boris Karloff, if they're just like constantly like, all right, Karloff, dude, walk. I mean, the same thing happened to him too, but I mean, like. I mean, it didn't help either that with Universal at the time with those, you know, the Universal horror films, they pumped out fucking sequels left and right after, you know, the success. So, like, all those guys, like Lon Chaney, you know, Bela, you know, Karloff, they all got, like, you know, their careers, like, just driven into the ground because it's like, you're going to be this guy for the 500th time.
Exactly. And I do think that is, you know, for this movie, it really seems outlandish too, because it adds really nothing to the movie. And not only that, it doesn't even make a whole lot of sense because the film opens up with like Vampira, you know, her character, who is effectively just Vampira, right? Like they don't even try. Again, they get Vampira, she's dressed like Vampira, and so she effectively is Vampira in this movie. And so she's dead. Bela Lugosi is attending her funeral, and then immediately after dies, gets hit by a car or something in like an off-screen shot of him wandering around like a dementia patient, you know, into the road and gets hit by a car. And then like, it's like one day later, he's buried right next to her and then comes back to life. It makes no sense. It makes no, what graveyard works this fast? How can they possibly have done everything they needed to do? You know, drain the body, embalm
dig the hole, get the casket, get the coroner. You know,
it's like the fastest. If you have a dead person, you want this undertaker and cemetery because they are the fastest.
It's express
in the West.
Express Hollywood Cemetery.
Yes, exactly. You know? Get them buried. Get them done and buried.
And the fucking tombstones, because this fucking set, it's just this like 20 by 20 like little plot of land that they constantly, you know, just tread over. The tombstones they didn't even take the time to put fucking names or anything on them. They're just these like, you know, unmarked graves And it's like,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is that. And it's just so fucking gaudy and awful and terrible. And I have a very hard time, like, thinking that this film was made with $60,000. Where did the money go?
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, it's probably getting the stock footage of the army that they have. Like,
the Pentagon was charging out the ass. They're like,
exactly.
Get the stock footage of us firing rockets.
It'd be like having to pay the NFL for like stock footage of a Super Bowl game or something. That's where it went. Yeah, the sets are horrendous, and I think that's really one of the ways that this feels like a very cheap movie, because the especially the first part of the movie feels like haphazardly edited. Like, it just seems like scenes are stuffed together and just like there's no sense of time passing or anything. It's just like event happens, boom.
The fucking opening on the plane.
Yeah.
Could be like an SNL skit.
Yes, it looks like they're sitting at a desk or something while flying the plane.
Like, it's supposed to be like pilot control. It's just a cardboard cutout like in front of them, and like they're just like, oh man. It's got like a tarp. Not like an actual cloth thing, but like a tarp in between, like, to separate the pilots and, the passengers.
Yeah.
And it's just so fucking stupid. And like the whole, like, the saucer's being on a string and being able to see it. That's not even like that bad, like, or whatever. But the fact that it's like it's a bog standard, like UFO, right? Fucking pilot's like, I looked like a big cigar.
That's what I was going to say, too. It makes no sense.
It's like, what do you know? No one, like...
The pilot needs glasses, everybody. Please alert the rest of the cabin. The pilot cannot see. He's fucking saying there's a flying cigar in this.
Oh, it's a big flying cigar. Like, what cigars?
No wonder no one took it seriously, because then everybody else saw the flying saucers and like, what the fuck were you talking about? You didn't see what I saw there.
Listen, pilot. It's a saucer, right? Yeah. So how the fuck is it a cigar?
All right, you caught the same thing, because that made absolutely no sense. I was thinking the same thing when I heard it. I was like, all right, you said cigar, and then you see like classic UFO shots. Yeah.
That just like I had to pause the movie for like 5 minutes. Like it's just like for my brain to register. Like,
yeah, it's almost like they wrote the script and had no idea like what they were actually going to do for the UFO.
Yeah.
So they have like later just had the they built the UFO and they went with a really generic UFO looking flying saucer. Yeah, it's.
I do love Edie the stewardess constantly popping in and out, like for no reason, like just to be like, oh,
you guys want some coffee? Get some coffee.
Hey there, boys. Anything going on? Well, I say, Miss Edie, I'm gonna take you to Albuquerque and fuck you. Well, we're gonna be there at 4:00, but it's an 8 a.m. town. Oh, I guess that's not gonna have no fun.
Yeah, that was funny. He was pretty forward about that. Basically, just like, I'm going to go ball you. Yeah. No problem.
I'm assuming that 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. talk is about like a blue law there. Like, but like.
Yeah. I think so.
She's keeping them on task, because she was like, we have all these flights we still have to do, And
I do think it's funny.
They're like, oh, you men don't know what the hell you're doing,
I do think it's funny, too. Like, later on, this is after the first scene where they see the UFO, but when he's on another flight and he's thinking about his wife who he's left back home, and he's worried about her, and he's just kind of staring off into space. The guy's like, you better get your head in the game. We got 30 passengers back there who need you to be flying this plane. And he's like clearly not even holding any rudders or anything. It's just, just sitting there staring into space.
And when you see the fucking like shots of the plane, which are like stock footage, it's like this giant, like, 747.
It's not a little Cessna plane.
Yeah, it's not like he's got 30 passengers back there.
Apparently they were flying, like tickets. No one wanted tickets because they also talk about that. There's one guy that's like the detective or whatever. Later on, they're going into like the the UFO's doorway, and they're saying like, oh, I wonder what's in there. He's like, well, I was in those flying contraptions, or I put myself in a flying contraption before, so I guess I'm going in here too. He's talking about how airplanes are kind of new, yeah, it's hilarious though that they're, the sets are really bad. And the other thing that really stands out too that I thought was hilarious is, they get all this, we talked about, they get the stock footage of like the army, and they've got like missiles flying off an army truck, and like the truck's like bouncing all over the place, and that's funny in itself. But after that, they showed the commander, just standing, and he's clearly standing in front of a curtain. It's like a curtain that's blue, and there's like a wrinkle in it behind him, and it's supposed to be the sky. He's like looking into the sky.
He's just like, quiet.
It's like a fucking curtain. You can see the wrinkles in the curtain. They couldn't even get a person with an iron to come out and.
Not only that. So he's in charge of taking out the fucking UFOs, right? Then he gets sent to the Pentagon, and the general's like, I hear you're in charge of dealing with the UFO, the flying saucers. And he's like, yes, sir. And he's like, do you believe in flying saucers? He goes, yes, sir. And he's like, well, this government says that they don't exist. Do you still say that they exist? Yes, I believe they did. Well, you're breaking the law. And then it's like, they do exist, but we just got to see, and it's like, motherfucker, somebody put that guy in charge. Like, he didn't put himself, the colonel didn't put himself in charge of a UFO task group to shoot down flying saucers. Somebody above him, because he's not a general, told him to like, hey, you got to like shoot these fucking things. So it's so stupid. Like, it's it's trying to do the whole like, government's lying to you, and because citizens, you can't be trusted to know what's out there, and but they're doing it for your good though at the end of the day, and it's just, it doesn't work because it's incoherent. It's just,
I think
bunch of balderdash.
That's a big part of the movie too, is that the script is horrible. It the way that it's written is just so haphazard. It's all over the place. It does not come up with a coherent storyline. It jumps everywhere, and it just like this. It's almost like a bunch of movies put together, because it really has no idea what it wants to do. And eventually it even switches over to the aliens, which, again, they look exactly like humans. They just wear funny little clothes, right? Like, they got like little clothes with symbols on them, and the guy's got like a little purple turtleneck on, and not only that,
his back brace, like weight belt brassiere, like,
and everybody in this movie is very flamboyant too. Like the ruler, who's played by I think it's John Breckenridge, is so flamboyant, along with the narrator, who's played by Criswell. It's just, I don't know why the film has got such a flamboyance to it, but I kind of enjoy that part of it.
The film is gay. This film is so gay, so queer. It's like, that was the one thing I looked up, was like, it was Ed, because Ed would like to cross-dress, and that's like also part of the point of, Glenn and Glendora. Like, so it's like, is he like queer? Was he like a closeted, or is he, and it's like, oh no, he was like, wasn't gay or queer, but he was, he cross-dressed and loved, was pro-LGBTQ. So like ahead of his time. And in the 50s with, I'm drawing a blank now. Ginsberg and shit, Kerouac and all that.
The beat poets.
Yeah, the beats and stuff, like, makes track. But this film is so, like, the campiness of it isn't just campy. It's that, like, very, like, stereotypical, like, almost, like, queer campy, like, that you would expect, like, from a John Waters film. Yeah. So it's fun. I'm not saying it's not, because Criswell's, like, the best part about this whole film. It's just, why do they have a narrator like, hello there, look like a blonde John C. McGinley, like,
he's
hello there,
little curl.
It's beautiful, and like
soft that way.
Yes, right. I'm going to tell you about things that happen, stuff that happens. There's things going on, truths and such. we're gonna find out. Like, I'm surprised, like, they weren't, like, burned alive in the 50s. Like, you know, for
Yes, we forgot about the narrator at the beginning, but really, it's kind of insufferable throughout the movie, where it's literally the narrator is actually narrating things that are happening on screen to you. It's like, here comes the army. The army is coming through, and they're going to be shooting down the aliens. And then you see, like, literally the army shooting down aliens. It's like, okay, great. You don't need the narrator to be literally telling you everything that's happening on screen. It's annoying.
Well, I think some of it, because a lot of it's like the Bela Lugosi scenes where it's his actual footage. So I don't think he spoke in them. They're just, so he had to, like, narrate over. But the fact that there's a lot of footage that this film reuses, like, I wish I had a fucking, like, I guess I was gonna say, like a counter, like a little clicker counter, like every time the same goddamn, like, scene gets reused or shot gets reused. It would have been in the hundreds. It's like you're watching an anime from the 60s, you're watching Speed Racer, like, gotta reuse the same cell over and over and over again.
They're effectively, like, a lot of them, like in the cemetery with Tor Johnson, reused a lot. A lot of times they just have Vampira standing, like, behind a bush. They're just like, all right, Vampira, you're gonna stand behind here.
Explain to me, what the hell is Vampira?
In the 50s, Vampira was this character, basically, and she's almost like an Elvira of the 50s, and she had her own show for a little while, and so she had this likeness, right? Like this, it was an actress, but she dressed like this, and she had a very unique style that involved wearing a extremely tight corset, which is why she has that, like, hourglass waist figure. She had very, very like iconic hourglass waist, not like your normal, like, they just they have that shapely figure. No, hers is like literally
brought upon.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking too, like, also it's like, man, also, how were they not chased out? Like, you whore, you harlot, like her dress, like, her breasticles are hanging all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it was a thing back then, but like, to the point, it's in this movie, it's like, why? It's completely unnecessary to the proceedings of the movie to have Vampira here, because ultimately it also doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because the movie already has way too much going on. It has aliens. Those aliens are raising dead people for some reason, like, as zombies, and
with a gun. With
some sort of
electrode gun.
And so, like, even then, at that point, you're like, all right, hold on. Why? Like, why the zombies and why the aliens? Like, we don't need both of them. Like, it's probably not necessary to have both. And then at the same time, and then you're also like, oh, okay, but then you've got, like, Vampira and Bela Lugosi that are really effectively vampires, based on their style of dress and what they're trying to hint at. So it's like, why? Why do we need that too? Isn't it good enough to have Tor Johnson as, like, this zombie-looking guy who, honestly, anytime he's on screen, or at least when he's a human on screen, is fucking hilarious, because the guy can't act at all. I don't know if it's a language barrier or what, but, like, when they get him in the first time, he's the inspector.
I think he was a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Before, so,
like, when they get him in as the inspector, and they're like, hey, you should really check this out. We got dead bodies over here. Let me grab my flashlight.
Hold on. You're upset about that, but not the fact that they gave him the name Daniel Clay.
Yeah.
Like, you look at this guy, like, it's like in, in a lot of Arnold movies where it's like, I'm John Kimball. I'm a cop. And it's like, Arnold, that's your slave name. What's your real name? Like, You don't have to. It's the same thing with him. Like, okay.
I know.
Not only that, though, too, what did you think about, like, the cops in the graveyard, aka what I like to call, instead of the Three Stooges, the Three Queens? Because they're also very, like, sassy, catty, and hey girl about it as they're like, you go into the grave. No, you go in there.
Yes, they are. And also like the police are just so ineffective in this movie. It's hilarious. They're just like, I don't know. It's above my pay grade. I have no idea what's going on right now. Like, are you sure you want to go over there? Like, we don't even have the lab guys. And at one point, it doesn't make sense. They're like, randomly, the cops like, the lab guys are, who do you think those guys are back there?
The Boy Scouts?
There's fucking the Boy Scouts there.
I was always amazed because everyone has like a really cheap looking Smith & Wesson like 38, and they're all holding it like if somebody was like a real like gun safety nut. They're like pointing their guns at each other the way they're like so casually holding it. The inspector's just like, yeah, you over there, you go over there, and you over there, go over there. He's like pointing his gun at them and stuff, and they're all just like, the way they hold their gun is so like,
oh yeah, right. Like, and the one guy is literally points his gun at his head and pushes his hat up. And apparently in the trivia, I did read this, that he actually did that on purpose, to make it look ridiculous, because he wanted to see if Ed Wood would notice that he was doing that, like pointing a loaded gun at himself multiple times, and Ed Wood did not notice, so it stayed in the movie. Which is, yeah, that's a trivia that I did read, but yeah, I do love the police because they're so bumbling and again, it just shows too that the script is horrible. Like, the script reads like somebody who had completely no idea how police would act or how criminal crime scenes are processed, wrote this script. Just like no idea. And the one thing that's really funny too is like the grave diggers, right? So the UFOs come, the Empire has risen from the grave, and Bela Lugosi's risen from the grave. The grave diggers are killed. And no one notices them for like 2 days, even after Bela Lugosi was buried in the cemetery. How is that? How are the police not notified there are 2 dead grave diggers in the cemetery near her grave, and and somebody else buried Bela Lugosi? Somebody showed up to work, and they're like, God damn it, where are those other 2 grave diggers? Like, they're supposed to be on the job today. And like, no one found them, no one knew anything, and they just laid there for 2 days. It's hilarious. Let's talk a little bit about the later scenes, though, right? Because like this movie, again, most of the characters that are involved in it, they're not really well evolved. We get the pilot. The pilot is like one of the main guys. It ends up being one of the main guys because his wife gets carted off by Tor Johnson's zombie.
Is that graveyard literally like 3 feet off the lawn? Because they're like constantly looking like, they're like, Dennis the Menace, like, sitting on the porch, like, things seem to be real weird over there in that graveyard. Like, I don't like it.
One of my favorite lines, too, comes from the wife who's like, well, you're going to be up there, and they're over there, and I'm going to be in there. It's like such a stupid line. It doesn't even make sense. Oh God, it's hilarious. But did you notice the fence behind them? How like misshapen it looks, like it was like melted in a fire. If you look at the fence behind when they're talking in their yard, it's the fence behind her is like, a normal picket fence, and then a couple of the pickets are like melted and like squiggly. It's really strange. You'd almost think it's like, oh, an AI generated that now. but no, it was just however they designed the set for some reason. I don't know why. What do you think about like when we meet the aliens in their goals, whatever this Plan 9 is? What do you think about the aliens?
Okay, it's a good concept. I'll give Ed credit that. I think it's a good especially for the 50s. I think it's a good concept to have other beings from the galaxy come and be like, hello, dumb apes, you just discovered more than fire there. we Prometheus, we got to fix this because you're too dumb to understand the power that you have.
Mhm.
Especially within the 50s during the Cold War, height of afraid of being nuked. It's a sensible idea. However, the fact that the aliens are like the woman is just a woman listening to hear the man do the mansplaining, and then she gets slapped around every now and then. But the man, he's just for like every good thing he says, he has like 8 lines of drivel. Like, you don't understand what you have. You're stupid. Like it's so. You're idiots. Like, it's just so funny. Like to sit there and be like, listen to, him berate them and stuff. And this idea too that, well, you guys are ignoring because the government at the Pentagon when they go, the colonel's there, he's talking to the general. Like, oh yeah, we've been getting these tape messages, and we built a very specific language computer to compute this thing so we can understand what they're saying. And as you're listening to the message, the aliens very good. We know that you are able. We can communicate with you now because you built a computer that decodes the language. So very good. You're on your way. It's so just fucking stupid, and so it's a good concept. But I mean, I don't think Ed's smart enough to see this through as to be something potent, because it just comes across as very a fart in the wind, just it's a
Yeah, the whole idea of the alien. So I kind of like the idea that these aliens come down and they're like, whoa, why are you guys so aggressive? Like, we're not. All we're doing is we're coming down here. We want to be friends, right? We're just a couple of interplanetary friends, just trying to figure things out and share the sun. And we sick the army on them. They're like, fuck these guys. Fuck these UFOs coming in. We don't know what they are for, but you know what? But again, at the same time, they did raise the dead. That would be, that was their first step. And that would be a little bit aggressive. I'm just saying.
Well, they said they did it because they weren't either, calls weren't being answered. And again, don't know if that's where my mind would have went if my phone calls were being ghosted.
Probably would have thought well, these guys are probably just stupid. They haven't figured out this communication devices yet. So we'll let's try a different means and maybe don't skip to plan 9, right? What about plan 3? Where's plan 3? On the continuum of plans that they had. But plan 9 is, and I do too. I like that when the aliens go back to the ruler and they're like, we'd like to initiate plan 9. And the ruler's like, okay, great. Have you tried it yet? And they're like, yes, we have. It's like, well, then why the fuck did you come to me when you've already done it? You've already initiated plan 9. You've raised the dead already. So what am I going to say? What if I had said, no, let's not do plan 9? What would you do then? You've already done it. So I like that too. But yeah, I think it's a little aggressive, but I like the idea that they don't really want to be, attacking the humans. What they're doing is they're like, Jesus Christ, these guys are literally playing with fire, right? They're creating, in Ed Wood's words, some sort of, they call it solar night or something like that. It's some sort of device that's going to harness the light from the sun. And then eventually it will create a bomb that follows the ray of light back up to the sun and blows up the sun. I guess is the idea.
Not only that though, too, the fact that he even adds that is stupid. You don't need to then have you haven't reached this power yet, but there's a power known as this. What do you mean there's a power like this? You dumb assholes. You don't know the power, but we're going to tell you about the power. It's you're worried about them blowing up the universe, and then there's a greater power, and this is how you do it. Show them the equation to do it. It's you don't need to say that. Why would you do that? You're stupid. So it's just it's not even a real thing. Again, if they just left it vague, yes, there are greater powers out there that you don't know about, that you may stumble upon, and you're too dumb to understand and too selfish to understand. Again, could be a nice little point, in red fearing McCarthy era United States, to give like a new, vision and to show things like, yes, here's another side, but no, it's, farcical.
Yes. Yeah, you're right though. I do like when the alien is basically like, getting heated and basically saying like, you guys don't understand a thing. Like this is dumb. That's, what you're doing is dumb. Everybody's dumb around here. And then the woman tries to step in and be like, well, maybe you guys should know that you're trying to, and then she's like, shut up, woman. Get out of here. Yeah. And then he has to explain. He's like, we only use the women for procreation. I don't feel like they are.
It's a man. It's a man's battle.
They're not meant to be doing research around here. She's just been tagging along with.
Which is also like, because she's in the film and she's just sitting there like blithely in the background, like, hands on her hips, twiddling her thumbs. And like when he's doing that whole spiel, I'm like, when's she gonna chime in? And then like when she gives her a fucking like right hook and like, you're being hysterical. Like
and
it's just
not only that
funny.
too, but the way that they treat her earlier on, she accidentally like drops the gun.
Yeah.
Like the little gun, and he's like, I don't know, it's like it's jammed or something. And then when she picks it, he says, pick up that gun, let's go. And she picks it up and he's like, oh, it must have when I dropped it, it must have unjammed it. It just treats.
That's also the funny thing too. Is like when like Tor Johnson's like coming at him. I mean, he's like, fire the gun. And she's like, it's jammed. It's like it's an electro. Like it's like. Why would an electric gun jam? Like what kind of
contraption have you built here? Where you can't...
what are the physics behind this? Like for like this electro jams. Like you don't ever play Fallout and like have like an electric gun or like a plasma rifle. I'm like, oh, jammed. Like
the electric gun is a little verklempt.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. But also, too, like, it also, like, kind of defeats the point, too, of showing, like, this enlightened society because they're supposed to, be, like, better than, like, the United States, better than the world. But then at the same time, it's like, can't have it, like, the true 1950s thing of, like, women are, constantly, just off the rockers. Yeah. It's the aliens that, and, being hysterical here. No, it's the aliens that slap the woman. And, the pilot here, he loves his wife, very much. And,
there's like
that the whole like ending it and them like winning by like luck is just like so like weird and stupid. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's kind of like, so what was the point of all of that? Like, there's like...
Yeah, it kind of just it ends without much, like, reconciliation or anything. The UFO flies off into space and blows up. Set on fire. And, like, again, too, because there's... I think they hint at it at the end. They say like, "Well, there'll be more." Like, yeah, you just blew up one of their spaceships.
One of them. You've been seeing you've been seeing a billion of them. In fact, it's hitting the Hollywood Recorder. Like, flying saucers all about. You don't need Cole Phelps there to be like, yes,
yeah, they may be back. Yeah, it does end sort of like a superficial note of like. It almost feels like it was completely unnecessary as a whole narrative because nothing really ended up getting rectified and nothing really ends up happening in the movie either. And I think that's part of the problem with this movie. When we talk about it as a difficult film and that it's hard to watch, is that it is an extremely boring movie. It really has no narrative flow to it, as we've talked about a little bit. Like the editing is all over the place. As Martin said, the same shots appear throughout the movie in what's supposed to be different times. So, but again, it's clear that it's, it was all shot at the same time and they've just edited it throughout, which again, just kind of throws off the tonal atmosphere of the movie. And again,
there's one cut, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like a scene with the Colonel, and it's such a like he's talking and it jumps like so erratically. It's like, oh my God, like it's so like just like and I'm not a, a fucking it's just like so amateur. It's like holy shit, like
and I think it's just overall a very tedious watch. It's not entertaining. It's a little bit funny at times, but like not to the extent where you're like going to have a good time watching it. It's, it doesn't have anything outstanding to it that really makes you laugh besides the cigar joke about the UFO. But other than that, like I would argue that this is just a really overall bland movie. Even at an hour and 18 minutes, it feels extremely long. And it just, I think that's what makes it so tough to watch is it has no real like audience flow to it. Like there's nothing that makes you want to continue watching. And then when you get to the end, you're just kind of like, oh, okay. Well, that was a movie. Certainly had some sort of storyline to it. Just think about this too. Ed Wood was a pretty prolific writer. He wrote like 80 novels or something like that, like pulpy novels. It's like, I can't imagine the kind of storylines that were in those novels and how they, progressed as a full book. Because if anything is learned from Plan 9 from Outer Space, the man can't really write a cohesive narrative, at least in this scenario, where he was writer, producer, and director. So like he had all of the, he had all the power to make this a cohesive movie. And this is what transpired. So I don't know. It's really not a good movie. I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to add about it that we didn't discuss?
I think that covers it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if
we're not. I would say we're not adding anything new to the discussion.
No. Yeah. But I mean, I think
except our 2 cents.
Yeah. I think everything that we've said has been said. But yeah. All right. So on a scale of 0 to 10 unnecessary belts in Vampira's wardrobe, what would you give Plan 9 from Outer Space?
I'd give it a 3.5 out of 10. It has its moments. Like there is a charm to it. I won't deny that. There is definitely some charm to it. And I can see how it is in the so bad it's, funny like territory. But it just comes off like too much as like a drunks, stage play that's being produced, and it's just a nightmare. It's like I said, it's got some like fun ideas and like fun fun moments, and it is a terribly made film, a terribly written film. Terrible acting, and Griswold being like the one really fun part of this film. But it's not enough for me to be enamored with it, like to fully be appreciative of the so bad it's good. So 3.5 out of 10. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I got it off the book. Maybe I'd watch it another time. I think maybe watching it with a group of people again would make. Because we watched Troll 2 way back in the day. We watched it together, so we could, we're riffing back and forth. But now we will do our watching in solitude. So, but yeah, 3.5 out of 10. It is what it is, and I'm not gonna be thinking about that much.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 10. I think that it has some moments. I think that you can find some funny elements to it, and probably it is more entertaining to watch with people. I think it could have some charm there. But as an individual film, it's really not good at doing most of the things that it sets out to do. Its narrative is really not good, so the script is really it suffers. It really doesn't seem to know a whole lot about what it wants to do. I think that's why we get such a really random assortment of ideas. Like there's aliens, but they raise zombies. And then also maybe there's like sort of vampires running around. It's just kind of all over the place. Doesn't really know what it wants to do. I don't think the editing is good either. And I think that's what makes it seem like such a long movie, even though it's not. It's, it just feels like we're constantly seeing the same footage over and over again, or being like in the same situations, even though time has supposedly passed in the film. And all of that makes it feel very stagnant. And so I think that's all of those things together make it a really difficult film to watch. Hard to justify spending the time on it. Although, as Martin said, I think probably everybody should watch it at least one time, just for historical sake. Just to say you've seen, one of Ed Wood's worst movies. It's probably, a talking point that you might find here and there. But other than that, it's not something that I would recommend to most people to just sit down and watch. It has a place for like bad cinema, but ultimately, I don't think there's really much value besides like to say you've seen it. So 3 for me. It was definitely difficult to watch. And I certainly had to take a break, and I know you did too. So.
Isn't that sad? It's an 80-minute film, and you gotta...
let me put this on hold for a second and go do something a little bit more interesting.
Just sitting there and like,
go clean the cat box or something. Just kidding. All right, so yeah, I think we've got 4 more weeks, right? Because this is actually going to be a 5-week series, or May has 5 weeks in it, so it's going to work out that way. Cool. So that'd be fun. So we got a lot of. I don't know if we're gonna like announce all the ones that we're doing. So
no, I think it'd be fun.
We'll keep them a secret, but we've got some cool ones in store. We've been talking about. It's the full series. I don't think is actually cemented yet, so we'll be able to switch off if we find something that we like better. But we definitely have some ideas for the next week. So yeah, we'll be returning weekly here in the month of May for difficult films all month long. So that should be fun. And then hopefully we did want to do Mortal Kombat 2. We'll probably get to it eventually, but it may not be within May, even though I know it is releasing next week. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to do that one too, since we did do the first one, and that was one of our earlier episodes, pretty early in the show.
Not that early. It was 2021. Yeah. It just feels like forever.
Yeah, maybe it does.
I'm hoping
feels like it was a long time ago.
It does, because it was like great. It was your first movie after COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, it ruined my life, and I pray to God. God, just let Carl Urban carry the fucking film to victory.
Make it a Carl Urban film. Yeah. Carl Urban, and then it has some other people in it.
He's Johnny Cage in it.
Yeah.
It's not, Scorpion's actually not just this, Spectre from hell. He's this white guy named Cole Phelps who's got all this lineage down the line. Blip, 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 blip. Bullshit. I get triggered just thinking about it, because again, it's one of those pansy ass, like whoever the fuck wrote it, pansy ass people who don't write shit for Hollywood, and they're like, I've never read Batman before, so I don't really get the whole what's going on. So this is what I'm gonna do with it and make it my own. Fuck off.
Right.
You want to do that? You write something for a product that doesn't, have an established lore and shit. Write your own shit. Fuck off. Sorry. Meds aren't working. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun. We got some nice films picked out. And stay tuned. In fact, one thing Ryan's going to have to do, he's going to have to also push out some of our older episodes of difficult films that we watched, like Mako.
That's right.
Yeah.
That'll be a good idea. Yeah, I could push out some.
Find some of the episodes, or our 4-hour marathon on Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, maybe an edited version of that one, like cut down for people who couldn't make it through the whole thing.
Well, listen, that was early in the days, and yeah, I can't even remember how how we stretch that out to, I was probably me, but like, or Suicide Squad too, but like, just like, there's a lot of early, Trump era films we can put in there, like, Suicide Squad, Justice League, the Terminator Genesis, the RoboCop, reboot.
Yep.
A lot of the Costas Mandalore trilogy of Saw. I'm just kidding. That's not. You watch those because they're better. Okay, you don't need Jigsaw. You need Costas Mandalore.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, thanks for listening to our episode on Plan 9 from Outer Space. Hope you enjoyed. We are going to be back all May long with Difficult Films Month. So if you like it, subscribe to us on any podcast app that you can think of. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you use. I'm sure we're there. So subscribe, leave us a nice review. That always helps us out. We have a Facebook and Blue Sky. You can search for us on there, Blood and Micron Podcast. Follow us or like or whatever you do. We are also on Patreon, where you can donate to us. Anything you donate goes back towards beer, so we appreciate that in advance. And you can also send us an email at bloodandmicronpodcast@gmail.com. Write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to watch. We'll definitely keep those in mind. Again, thanks for listening. We'll be back with more difficult films next week, so stay tuned. And until then,
take care.